Since this is going to be called a Cold War, the United States was still fighting, but not with their military. We're going to see how they wanted to do that. And the overall mission, the overall goal of U.S. policy at this point is referred to as the Containment Policy. They didn't want to eliminate communism, but the idea was that if they could contain it, not allow it to expand, then eventually it would kind of crumble and go away. So they believed that expansion was important towards communism. So rather than a direct fight, the United States is going to prevent Soviet expansion. This is the entire idea behind the containment policy. And the main doctrine at the beginning was created by Harry Truman, the president, and we call this the Truman Doctrine. And Harry Truman said that the United States would support free peoples resisting attempted subjugation anywhere in the world. So, in other words, the United States is going to help prevent the spread of communism everywhere. The United States is a superpower, and the United States is going to use its full force to stop the expansion of communism. So, the Truman Doctrine is how the containment policy was organized, and is basically a war on communism everywhere, based on the idea of the domino theory. Now, if you've ever played with dominoes, you set them up in a line. If you push one over, the rest are going to fall. And that's the idea here. If one country falls to communism, then the next will fall, the next will fall, the next will fall. Eventually, communism is going to be at the American border. So we need to stop that first domino from falling. So we're going to make sure we prevent the spread of communism anywhere. And they didn't want to use the military so much for that. So they're going to use what's called the Marshall Plan. Now, the Marshall Plan is simply the guy who stated what this was going to be called. Marshall gave a speech. So we call it the Marshall Plan. Essentially, all the United States is going to do is use their economic power in order to prop up governments that were facing economic difficulty. So in Western Europe, still ravaged by the devastation of World War II, some people were starting to think that communism might be an answer to help fixing their economic issues. So instead of allowing communism to kind of creep in, the United States just threw wads of cash at those countries. Overall, the United States is going to spend about $13 billion in 16 Western European countries to prop up the economies, places like England and France and Italy. These governments, while they may have previously been an enemy during World War II, needed to be propped up so that the United States, one, didn't have to use their military to fight the communists. They would neutralize communism by showing the appeal of capitalism. And those new countries would become U.S. markets. We could sell our products there, and we're building a global economy. So yes, there is some initial expenditure. $13 billion was a lot at that point. Remember, the United States only spent $40 billion over 8 years of New Deal, Great Depression relief. So $13 billion in 16 countries. Now, the United States is going to offer this Marshall Plan money to the Soviet Union. They denied it. They said, no, we don't want capitalist money. That would prove that the communist system doesn't work. So the communists reject Marshall Plan money, which is probably good because Congress might not have passed it if they agreed to take it. The capitalist countries are then going to go and become stronger, become U.S. markets, and this is going to end up leading to tensions between the Soviet Union and the United States. It's going to lead to the first direct conflicts of the Cold War period.